The guy I had a crush on lost his sight. I took on the role of his fiancée and cared for him for a whole year. When the real deal showed up, I was shown the door of the mansion. I packed my bags and headed overseas to start a new chapter. Little did I know, he was scouring the earth for me back home. "Lucas, time for your meds." I softened my voice as I entered the bedroom, a glass of water in hand. He sat on the bed's edge, his face turned towards me. The setting sun cast a golden glow on his chiseled features, but his gaze was vacant. "About time. You're half an hour late," Lucas grumbled, yet a gentle smile played on his lips. "Got caught up with some urgent work stuff," I replied, mimicking Emma's tone as I handed him the glass. Lucas was my husband, and I was playing the part of his childhood sweetheart. A year ago, a car crash left Lucas temporarily blind, with no clear timeline for recovery. His fiancée Emma, too proud to tie the knot with a blind man, had fled abroad. Meanwhile, my brother needed heart surgery, and the mounting bills were crushing me. The Smith family was secretly on the lookout for someone who could mimic Emma in every way, and I fit the bill perfectly. With my background in vocal music and top-notch grades, I was their best bet. We struck a deal swiftly. "Sweetheart, what's on the menu tonight?" Lucas asked, playing with my fingers. He worked from home daily, only unwinding when I returned from work. "The housekeeper whipped up your favorites. I'll bring them up shortly." "Alright." Lucas caressed my neck and planted a kiss. My cheeks flushed, but I didn't push him away. Instead, he pinned my wrists down. My heart raced, even though this wasn't new territory. Each time, I'd get jittery, fearing I might slip up. Lucas's hand wandered to my waist and rested on my stomach, a puzzled look crossing his face. "It's been a while. Still no baby on the way?" These things take time, and I've been swamped at work. Maybe I need to take better care of myself first." I lied, knowing he couldn't see my subtle expressions. Our relationship was just a contract, and I always took my pills on time. "Guess I'll have to step up my game." Lucas chuckled, nibbling on my ear. Seeing he was in the mood to continue, I quickly pulled away. "I'll check on dinner." His soft laughter followed me as I left. Leaning against the hallway wall, my face was flushed, my heart pounding. The thought that his tenderness was meant for his real fiancée felt like a cold splash of reality. This man was kind, wise, and had impeccable manners. It was hard not to fall for him, and truth be told, I'd had a crush on him for ages. Downstairs, Lucas's mother Vivian was waiting at the dining table. "Perfect timing. I've got some good news. Emma's been found, and Dr. Lee says Lucas's eyes are showing signs of improvement. Your role is coming to an end." Vivian beamed, clearly overjoyed. I forced a smile. "Congratulations. It's finally over." Vivian's eyes caught the kiss marks on my neck, and her smile faded. "Arya, don't get any ideas. If you mess up in these final days, you won't see a penny for your brother's treatment." "I understand, Mrs. Smith." I nodded coldly, ignoring her obvious disdain. In private, Vivian never let me call her mom. To her, I was just a poor imitation, lucky to even be touched by her son. In her eyes, only someone of noble birth like Emma was worthy of Lucas. If it weren't for the engagement day, she'd never have let a girl like me into the Smith household. On the engagement day, she made me wear a veil, just going through the motions. After dinner, I brought Lucas a glass of milk. He was on the phone with his assistant, discussing the company's affairs. I sat nearby, my heart racing, rehearsing the script in my head. Lucas hung up and reached for my hand. "Let's go out tomorrow. It's the weekend. But I need to visit my family." He intertwined his fingers with mine, smiling. "Then I'll wait for you." I looked at him wistfully. The contract ended tomorrow, and tonight was our last night together. "Lucas, drink your milk and get some rest." I handed him the glass. He finished it, a bit of milk lingering at the corner of his mouth. I reached out to wipe it away. My fingertips brushed his lips. Lucas felt a spark and kissed me. "My wife is so passionate tonight." "Lucas, take care of yourself." Early the next morning, the servants had already packed my things. Vivian stood there, her gaze harsh and full of disdain. "Here's your money. The password's your birthday." I took it without a word and headed for the door. Suddenly, footsteps echoed from the stairs. Lucas had woken up. "Sweetheart, when will you be back?" My throat tightened. "Later. Then I'll wait for you." Looking at his handsome face, I steeled my heart and left. I dragged my luggage to my old, shabby apartment, finally feeling a sense of relief. Even though it was run down, at least I didn't have to deal with their disdain anymore. After my brother's surgery, I took him abroad. That was part of the deal. When Emma returned, I was to vanish from their sight. Before leaving, I saw Lucas in the news, his sight restored. He shone at a charity gala, with the elegant and proud Emma by his side. They were the perfect match. I couldn't help but recall the high school New Year's party, where they stood gracefully on the main stage. I was a year behind them, but I'd known about Lucas for a long time. The girls always buzzed about the handsome and talented boys. I fell for him because of a small incident. There were always beggars near the school, and most would walk away in disgust. But not Lucas. He'd always buy them breakfast. Back then, my family hadn't hit hard times yet, and I could often watch him from afar. Later, my father gambled away our fortune and took his own life. I was forced to transfer schools, juggling part-time work with studies. Life abroad wasn't easy. Unfamiliar surroundings, and caring for William, who was still recovering. It took half a year before I got used to this foreign land. I taught vocal music at a small institute and played the piano at a French restaurant when I could. Most of the money from the Smiths went to medical bills. Future expenses loomed, so I had to work harder. To my surprise, I ran into Lucas at the restaurant. With his sight restored, he looked even more handsome than in the news. He was discussing business with someone and didn't glance my way. It was natural for Lucas not to recognize me. He'd never seen me before, but I was unsettled, and my piano playing suffered. The restaurant manager shot me a warning look. I took a break and went to the restroom to calm down. As I stepped out, I bumped into someone. I knocked their phone to the ground and hurriedly picked it up. "I'm so sorry." Looking up, I found Lucas staring intently at me. I tried to stay calm, saw the phone was fine, and quickly handed it back. Our fingers brushed for a moment, and I pulled away as it burned. "Please check if your phone's okay. If it is, I'll be on my way." He didn't respond. I felt uneasy under his gaze, forced a polite smile, and turned to leave. A hesitant voice called from behind. "Sweetheart?" I paused, feigning surprise as I turned back. "What did you say?" He fell silent, his gaze filled with disappointment. Back at the piano, my mind was a whirlwind. whirlwind. Why did Lucas call me that? Was he testing me? I kept playing, wishing time would fly. His gaze from across the room made me uneasy. As the last piece ended, I sighed in relief. As I was about to leave, Lucas approached. You played well. He smiled slightly and handed me a tip. I looked at the money, reluctant to take it, but the manager was signaling me, afraid I'd offend him. Thank you. I stiffly accepted, but he didn't let go, and I looked at him, puzzled. Suddenly, his hand reached out and gripped my fingers. I was startled and tried to pull back, but he held on tighter. His fingers swept across the back of my hand, as if searching for something. Abruptly, his fingertips paused. His gaze locked onto me, and he smiled. It really is you. I lowered my eyes guiltily and pushed him away. You've got the wrong person, sir. Is that so? Then why are you so nervous? He stared at me intently, excited yet annoyed. I looked at the floor, relieved when his business partner approached, seemingly with urgent matters. Seizing the moment, I slipped away. Wait, Lucas called out urgently, only managing to grab a bit of my clothes. I was familiar with the place and quickly escaped through the back door. Seeing he didn't follow, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I was terrified Lucas would confront me. If he knew all his tenderness had been directed at a stranger, what would he think? Would he feel hurt, disgusted? I clenched my fingers, my chest tight with emotion.